I'm splitting my hair down the middle today because my hairdresser tells me that I always wear it like parted to the side. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. What's up guys, my name's Julie. This is Security Curvy, and today I am going to, I think I just butchered my own opening line. Let's try that again. Okay, let me stop. Serious. We're serious people. What's up guys, my name's Julie and this is the Curated Curvy, where I bring you along for the journey as I attempt to create the curated wardrobe of my dreams with these two hands. And today I have for you all a what I've made recently video. So as with the last what I made recently video, this video is not like what I made in the last week or the last 2 weeks. So I think these makes were done over the course of 3 weeks, and I don't really remember the order in which they were made. I just want to share those things with you. Want us to look at, discuss. Hopefully you'll pick something up if you are interested in making these patterns. If you have made these patterns and you catch something that I didn't, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. I do want to apologize to all of my tried and true viewers. I know that lately my responses to comments have been far and few in between. Your girl's just been, life has been lifing, let's say, and so I do plan on eventually getting through and reading all of those comments and in some form or fashion responding to them. But if you do oftentimes leave me comments and I haven't gotten back to you, know that I am going to get around to it as soon as I have time to sit down and dive into the comments. Now, without further ado, let's get to the reason that you all are here. Lay clothes. Side note, how cool is this mug? I found it at the thrift store the other day and I'm obsessed. Like, it's more green down here and then it like fades into white. It's just thrift shopping life. All right, so the first thing that I want to show you is this top, which actually goes with this skirt as a set, and this pattern is, I should have had the pattern number before I started talking. Ugh. It's okay, it's all good. This pattern is Simplicity 9791. It's like one of their cord patterns, and it comes in sizes 4 to size 20. I cut out and sewed a size 20. First things first, we'll talk about the top. So this is the top. It is really simple. One of the reasons that I was drawn to this piece is because the top can be sewn with or without sleeves, and without the sleeves it would give kind of like a vest vibe and would make a really cool layering piece as we prepare to go into fall. So I really like that about the pattern. It also has a really interesting puff sleeve in that it is gathered on the top, but the volume on the bottom is done through a series of darts. So I believe there's 4 darts on the bottom of each sleeve, and it also gives it like an interesting like tent like shape to the sleeve. So I was also very drawn to that. It is a really easy piece to make. It came together in no time at all, with the exception of the sleeves, because you do have to go ahead and mark and sew all of those darts according to the pattern instructions. It is also fully lined, which I think just makes it look so beautiful on the inside. Again, I'm not a person who is like very interested in what the insides of my garments look like. However, when I get a pattern that instructs me to construct the garment in such a way that the insides are just as beautiful as the outsides, I do find that I get a little bit excited about that. So the inside is finished really nicely. I think I'm gonna go ahead eventually, if I keep this, and bind the arm side just so that it all looks really uniform and really beautiful. Now, one of the things that I did change about this pattern is that the sleeve calls for a sleeve facing. So as you can see, mine is not finished with a facing. It is finished with a piece of bias binding, because honestly I just couldn't be bothered with inserting a facing into the sleeve. So that's how I finished it. Apart from that, I pretty much stuck to the instructions and the construction method, and this is what you get. As far as recommendations, so I think it is a really easy pattern to sew. It is a really satisfying make, and again, I like that this top can be constructed in such a way that it can act as a vest or a layering piece, because I think that would just be a really cool thing to have going into the cooler months. Okay, now this is the skirt for Simplicity 9791, and the thing that I was drawn to was the fact that the top of the waistband is curved, and as well as the back, and then it kind of dips down on the sides. I really like that aspect, and I wanted to give it a go. I can't say that it is a detail that I feel like I like it as much in reality as I did in theory, if you know what I mean. But it was fun to try. The skirt is also constructed really beautifully. I went ahead and I used a quilting cotton that I had in my stash to line the top of the skirt with. The pattern does call for an invisible zipper, but if you know me or if you've watched my channel, you probably know by now that I prefer to use a regular zipper over an invisible zipper. So I just inserted it with a regular zipper, and that is what that looks like, but you still get that same effect. Again, the insides are finished just beautifully. I really do like the length of the skirt. I like the tiers and the fullness of it. This fabric, which I didn't mention for the top, was, I believe it was a thrifted fabric, and it's kind of like a canvasy cotton. It's not as thick or as like heavy as a canvas, but it's a little more weighty than your traditional quilting cottons. I can't give you the exact makeup because, like I said, it was thrifted on the cheap a while back, and so I figured because this outfit was an experiment, I would go ahead and I would use something that didn't mean too much to me. So that's why I chose this fabric. And I think for the skirt, this fabric was a good pairing. Now, in terms of sizes, I did sew a size 20 for the skirt, which is the largest size that the pattern actually comes in. The fit got a little bit tricky. So I knew usually around my waist, I'm a size 18, but then my hips go out to about the largest size, usually like a 22, 24. I can get away with that if there are gathers in, I'm sorry, I can't do the middle part, guys. I can get away with it if there are gathers in the skirt, because usually if there's enough volume here, even though the waistband is fitted, this will kind of flare over the hip. However, when I was constructing the skirt, I try on things a lot as I sew to kind of like fit it as I go. And so after I put on the waistband in the first tier, I went ahead and I tried it on to see what it was fitting like. And what I found was that this first tier was like squeezing my hips. There was not nearly enough room for it to just flow over the hip like it needed to. I was pretty much out of fabric because I used the cut of fabric for both this skirt and the top. So I had to think on the fly of how I would adjust that, because I could not recut that tier and add more gathers into it, which is usually what I would do if I had fabric left over. But because I couldn't do that, what I decided to do was kind of sew like a gusset into the skirt. So you can probably see it on the side here, but there's a triangle right there on the side. And then that just gave me a few inches to go over my hips nicely. And I was able to do that using the scrap fabric. This is what it looks like on the inside. And then there. And I only needed to do that for the top tier. And like I said, I was able to do that using scraps of fabric, which worked out perfectly because I didn't have any fabric left. And I found that after doing that, I had the perfect amount of ease in the skirt for me to be able to wear it comfortably. The problem that I'm having is that it's a really high-waisted skirt, and this part rises up, but this part sits pretty low. So whatever I wear either needs to be really cropped or tucked in. I don't wear many things tucked in. But if it's really cropped, then it's like this part of my stomach, which is like the center, is covered, and then you get a little bit of skin here, and it's not even a matter of showing skin, it's just proportionally it doesn't feel right to me. This one I know I'm not gonna let go of. The shirt I might let go of, but this skirt I want to keep playing with and trying to make work into the colder months, because I think, look at all these threads I forgot to cut back here. Do you see that? All these threads? Ridiculous. But I think this skirt has the potential to be a great fall winter piece if I can figure out how to style it. So I'm not giving up on this skirt just yet. The next thing that I want to show you is McCall's 8260, and this was sort of a fail too. Not like a massive fail, but definitely not a massive win. This is a Melissa Watson pattern for McCall's, and so her patterns usually have a lot of instructions on how to properly fit something as you are going through it, which I can definitely appreciate. And in the end, I did come out with a pretty well-fitted pair of shorts. The problem with these shorts is an error that I made on my part, which I'll explain to you. So about the pattern, it is a shorts pattern that has like these pleats in the front that kind of give it the illusion of a skirt. So the pleats fold over like this, and if you pull it back, like that's all the rest of the short, and so it's the giant pleat in the front. And then it's also the same kind of pleat in the back. It has a waistband that's curved on the bottom but pretty straight on the top, and it's closed using buttons. So you unbutton here, which also goes through the pocket. You push that down, and then that's how you get in and out of the pants. And then on this side, I have it kind of pinned back so it fits on the hanger, but there's also a pocket but no opening or closure there. The pattern instructions for this were pretty great. It looks very intricate and complicated, but the way that the instructions walked me through it, I was able to do this with a good amount of ease. Like, I wasn't stressed out, I wasn't confused. I just took my time and read through the instructions, and the outcome is really cool. I have been like trying to find a good pair of like wide leg trousers for myself, and especially like trouser shorts since we're in the warmer months. And so I wanted to try these out, and all in all, they came out very well. This fabric is a suiting weight fabric. Again, I thrifted this, so I cannot give you the exact makeup, but it has a little bit of kind of like bouncy to it, like what you would feel with like a scuba. Like, there's a slight density to the fabric, and I think because of that, it is the wrong pairing for this pattern. Because there is that density, these pleats in the front, they lay a lot flatter, but in the back, it just kind of like sticks out. And you'll see what I mean when I try it on. Like, it angles out on my bum instead of just going like flat and draping over them. So I don't think, again, it was an error of the pattern. I think it was an error of myself. And I think the error is exaggerated because I made the pants much shorter than the pattern intended for them to be. I think that if I would have, or I almost know that if I would have left a little bit more of that length, then they would have just fell nicer over my bum. And they didn't, so that's my fault. That's the lesson learned. It was a thrifted fabric. There's no love lost. I don't know if I'm gonna keep or pitch these again. My iron's cutting off, sorry. Cool. I don't know if I'm gonna keep or I'm gonna pitch these. I wanna play around with styling them a little bit more. I wanna see how it looks with this top, because I think, you know, color story wise, that's a good vibe right there. I'll try that on and I'll put in a shot of that for you guys. But yeah, this is the McCall's pattern. I think I said, what did I say, 8260? Yeah, it's 8260 by Melissa Watson. For this, I did sew a size 18 because I wanted to go based off of my waist measurement, and then I knew that I could take in or let out these pleats as necessary to fit nicely over my hips and my bum. So yeah. The next dress that I have for you is another Vogue 1781. At this point, this pattern is a tried and true. This is the 4th version of this dress that I have made thus far, and a little bit different than the last version. So I think all of the dresses that I've done have had an open back. One has a skinny strap, one has no straps, and this one has the straps that came with the pattern, which originally in the pattern are intended to go across the back of the neck. This pattern has been modified and tweaked a lot. I will link the video up above in the blog post below if you are interested in seeing how I got this from that dress. But I absolutely love it. This dress was done in this gorgeous Liberty print that I picked up from Joann's. They had their Liberty fabrics on sale, and some of them were marked down even more. So they were on sale for 25% off, and then some of them were $20 a yard, which is still to date the most amount of money I have ever paid for a yard of fabric. But when I saw that it was on sale, I had been wanting to try out some Liberty fabric for quite a while. So I went ahead and I got 1.5 yards, and that was enough to squeeze out this dress. And I am very, very happy with it. Now, I have some thoughts on the Liberty fabric. I think that it is the lightest, floatiest fabric, and I love the way that it feels on my body. However, it wrinkles like nobody's business. Like, I definitely have to iron this every time I take it out of the wash. And I'm not one of those people who are strongly opposed to ironing. I grew up ironing. I have the burn marks to prove it. So I'm not really opposed to ironing. I think I was just shocked at how much like I have to iron this dress. But it's a beautiful, beautiful dress. It's also a pretty lightweight fabric, which I guess is the thing with cotton lawn. However, when I wear this, I didn't realize until the last time that I put it on that I should definitely be wearing a slip underneath, which is fine. I have my, I don't think it's here. I have my Vogue pattern. I'll put the number up if I can remember, but it is actually a slip dress and it's pretty short. So it can easily go underneath. Oh, it might be too long. I think it can go underneath this dress. If not, then I'll need to figure that out. Apart from that, I think it is absolutely beautiful. I love the way that I construct this dress. It comes together very easily, and like I said, I was able to squeeze this out of 1.5 yards of fabric, which is actually pretty amazing. In order to get it out of 1.5 yards, I did have to cut the binding on the straight of grain and not like use bias binding, but it worked out just fine. Once upon a time when I was taking apart a ready-to-wear dress that I really enjoyed wearing but had definitely run its course in this life, what I noticed on that dress was that all of the binding was done by cutting the fabric on the straight of the grain. None of it was done using bias binding, and so oftentimes that's what I'll do because it saves a lot of fabric if I can just cut my binding out on the straight of grain. So like I said, all of the binding for this dress has been cut on the straight of grain, and it worked out just fine. The next thing that I want to show you is another skirt. This is Vogue 1957, and I believe this was a part of their summer drop. I talked about this pattern before in my not only my pattern haul review, but it was also a like get a designer look based off of a sewing pattern however you word that video, and I definitely wanted to sew this up, and I just so happened to have this like lightly stropped like pink seersucker fabric in my stash, and I like that because the inspiration in the inspiration photo for this dress they used a pink taffeta, so I thought that was really cool. This skirt is a lot of gathering, a lot of pieces. You can't cut the pieces on the fold. Some of the pieces you cut one of, some of the pieces you cut two of. However, still in the end, I felt like it wasn't that difficult to make, which is weird but true. So with this pattern, I sewed a size 20 as I was sewing with everything else, and all went well until the end when I tried it on and I realized that the waistband was too small. So I had to go back and I had to take off the zipper, reattach take off the zipper. I added, if you can see back here, about a good inch to each side of the zipper, and then I reattached it. And when I did that and I tried it on, I realized that I had added too much and now the waistband was too big. So I didn't feel like opening it back up again and going through all of that. So basically what I did, being really lazy, was I took a dart out on the side seam. First, you can see I took out the first dart and that wasn't enough. So then I went in and I took out another dart, and it's okay. I mean, in a perfect world, I do need to go back and I need to like fix it correctly, but is this a perfect world? No. So this is what we get. All in all, I really do like the skirt though. I think it's unique. I think it's really fun. It just, the skirt is, it's a party. I wish that this ruffle here went down a little bit longer because when I'm wearing it, it looks kind of awkward. I think this skirt would be more effective if it were done in the longer version. For some reason, I don't know, the excitement just kind of falls short, but I did want a casual version of the McQueen look, and I do feel like this skirt delivers on that. I just, I don't know, maybe it's the fabric. It's something about it that's just not like hitting the nail on the head. All that being said, I really do like the skirt and I am definitely going to keep it in my stash. Like I said, it was a pretty simple thing to make. You just have to be incredibly careful in terms of cutting out the pieces. This fabric doesn't have a clear front and a back. Like, the back looks just like the front in terms of the fabric. The right and the wrong side, excuse me, they look identical. So I had to be very careful not to mix up or flip my pieces because all of that matters when it comes to constructing them and putting them all together. That part aside, I went through pretty quickly. I actually did go ahead and install an invisible zipper in this one, and not because I wanted to, but because this was the only zipper in a color that would match this skirt, and so I had to just kind of grit my teeth and do it. But the installation went pretty smooth, and I would say that the zipper looks pretty darn good. The skirt also has pockets. Yes, it does. And someone in my comments asked if I could do a sew along for this skirt, and I think that I actually am going to do that just because it is it's quite a doozy if you're not like too comfortable with like sewing. And I would love to make another one of these in denim because I think everything looks better in denim. So when I do that, I probably definitely will do a sew along. So if that person was you, then just wait around a little bit longer and I got you. Okay, in one of my last videos, it was a sewing plans video where I was showing you guys different fabrics that I had been sent by different companies, and I needed to get cracking on the projects, but I just couldn't settle on which project to do for which fabric. This was one of them, and the option that I put up was 2 separate dresses, and it wasn't this dress, and so I didn't go with either of those options, even though there's a poll and everything for it. But what happened was, as I was scrolling through the comments, someone was like, the fabric would pair well with a wrap dress, and I thought, I have a wrap dress pattern that I have been wanting to try to make, and I feel like this would be a good opportunity for that. And so I went ahead and I went with that idea. So while I didn't go with the idea that was given to the poll, I did still go with a viewer's idea. That counts for something, right? I'm not even going to pretend to look for this pattern. I think it's 6928. 6829, something like that, 6929, and it comes in sizes, I think like 6 or 8 all the way to 26. So yeah, it is a really easy pattern to sew, and I was drawn to it because I like the addition of the collar. I feel like that just gives it something a little bit more spunky, and I'm always on the hunt for a good wrap dress because I feel like they're just really flattering on curvy bodies. And so I haven't found the perfect wrap dress yet. I found one that I feel like was pretty close, which was the Laura Ashley reprint, but I haven't found one that I felt like was like spot on. So I went ahead and I gave this one a go. I then sewed 2 more versions of this same dress, and I'll briefly show you all 3 of these because I want to do a full video. I recorded the entire process of me sewing this, so I want to put that together in a video and then give you the full review of the alterations and the modifications that I ended up needing to make, because there were a few. Okay, so with the first version, I sewed it exactly as the instructions would have you to sew it, which is with the facing, which I hate. The next one, I altered the pattern and made the modifications that I felt like would get me closer to what I imagined this dress would look like, and this is what I got. This is actually a thrifted bed sheet that I've had in my stash for about a year now, if not maybe like 10 to 11 months now. I thrifted it at the end of last year, I think. Yeah, I thrifted it towards the end of last year, and it's just been sitting in my stash. Funny enough, I knew from the moment I thrifted this dress that I wanted it to be a wrap dress, and once I had made those modifications, I sewed it up in this, and I am obsessed with this. This is my favorite version of the dress. The last version of the dress, I wanted to try it in a more floaty fabric. So I had this rayon in my stash that I picked up from a local to me fabric store, and I've had it in my stash for not too long. So I'm pretty proud of myself on this one. With this one, because the fabric is so drapey, I did go ahead and I changed the sleeves. I'll put the sleeve pattern number on the screen that I use for this. It is a simplicity pattern, and essentially this sleeve would be equivalent to a giant circle skirt. And so I thought that that would suit the pattern well. And so those are the 3 wrap dresses that I sewed from that one pattern. Now, that is everything that I sewed recently. If you enjoyed this video, then check out this video, and I shall talk to you next time. Bye.